Yo, what's up, everybody? So, as you guys know, on Twitch, I am Chopsticks, and on YouTube, I am Chopsticks. So, here's my take. There's been a big fiasco on this whole day before and day after bullshit. So, my problem is I played the game, and a lot of people have made a discussion from just watching other people's stuff. And so, this is me actually giving information after playing a game. We all know that the studio closed up. We all know that the Discord was on fire. The game was crap. We were lied to. Blah, blah, blah. My biggest issue with the game was the gameplay. The gunfire. The guns look great. The fire was too loud for some of the weapons. The radical did not do anything. The guns didn't even look like they were optimized to hit anything other than the shotgun. The shotgun did a lot of damage, or unless you had a full automatic, the full automatic did spread, so obviously you're going to kill someone that way. The other thing I had problems with were hiding behind stuff. Obviously there was no cover because you would still get shot. Whether that be like the environment itself, which was a thing, or there was this other thing that came across where you would see a player and that player had become giganto-sized and dysmorphed. Apparently that was a glitch and that counted as a headshot. So people who actually died that way, just because the game wasn't optimized, the characters and settings. But the biggest take was that they bought all their assets. So they went and they bought Unity assets for like $300, whether it be the dev's fault or whether it be the company's fault. But if you think about it, if you're buying assets and you're creating a game, you think you would be able to do 10 times better than what you just created because you bought those assets. There's also this whole thing when they released a statement saying they were closing up and they were sad to announce that the game was never meant to be what they thought it was going to be. They financially failed. They didn't take our money. They didn't do any of that, which was a lie because we all know they took the money and walked with it. They didn't have Steam send people money back even after the 2-hour mark, because it's the way Steam does their thing. Steam has this where you were supposed to have it within 14 days of buying a game and only play 2 hours, and then you can't refund if you played more than 2 hours. Well, a lot of people played the game just to test it, because who knows, it could have been that whole cyberpunk ordeal where the game sucked and could have gotten better over time. If Cyberpunk could do it, why couldn't they do it? Well, that's just it. They weren't caring enough to do it. Honestly, that's what it felt like. I was part of their Discord from the beginning, and to hear that they shut people out of the Discord from finding the Discord, because that was a rumor on the Reddit, and that was the rumor on Twitter, all over the web that was being said, that's just alarming. I did notice that when people tried to make statements within that Discord about certain things, their posts would get deleted, and then those people would get silenced or banned. So that was kind of an issue too. Like, you're purposely hiding because you can't come to factor that everybody hates your shit because you lied. To be honest, like, my take is I played 4 days worth of the game, and that's 4 complete days worth of the game. Even when I was at work, I had the ability to work from home at some points, and so I loaded it up and I was like, hell, fuck, I'll do this on my lunch break. And yeah, nothing got better. They made their first drop within the day of doing their initial fix. It was a hot fix. That hot fix was supposed to fix a lot of things, and it didn't. The second hot fix came in saying, hey, we fixed the bugs the first one was supposed to do, but it didn't. The biggest part of that fix for the second one, everybody was kind of, okay, things are changing, was the whole zombie aspect. The zombie update was supposed to add more to the world, and this is why I'm saying an update, because when you walk through the world, it was completely empty. There was a lot of things going on in that world. You may have run into players, but you barely maybe run into 1 or 2 zombies. It felt so dead, so quiet. The ambience wasn't even there for quiet. Even The Division, which had a kind of the same sandboxy feel, still had more roaming NPCs than what they did in this. And it was terrible. You would hear gunshots And these gunshots would make you think there were more people on that server, when in actuality, those gunshots were apparently just noises kept on a loop to make you think instead of actually showing. And those servers were kind of ass because there were no fixes on servers where it was gonna go from high to low pop, because everything said high pop. And apparently you would try to get into those servers and those servers would kick you out. I played with a buddy. We tried several different servers. The first night, it was just horrible. You would be in a server finally after trying to get into one for maybe like 30, 40 minutes maybe, and then boom, you would get kicked as soon as you get into those servers. Or you would get into those servers and then they would be a laggy fuck mess. By laggy fuck mess, I mean everything would be glitching. There was this one point where I ran into a bug and I had made a ticket in with the devs on their website and on their Discord, and I sent a message to them on their Twitter, and I still got ignored. That I was putting stuff within my bank and all my items would disappear. I would lose everything. I would lose money. I would lose my guns. I would lose all the health kits that I picked up just because I was grabbing stuff for the world. Or I would get fucked over in a run doing a quest, and they would just be gone. Speaking of those quests are ass because they don't actually do any skill progression or whatsoever like we were promised. Those are just for money. And they did do one thing on that update. They upped it from 1,000 to 5,000 per quest once you finish. The quests actually don't make sense because there'll be runs for like the doctor in the beginning of the game. He'll be like, hey, I need some medicines and stuff like that if you do his quest line, and then it sends you to a coffee shop. Why would there be insulin and, well, okay, maybe insulin because someone died and left their shit, but why would be there major medical supplies in a coffee shop when the hospital is just down the road? You probably should have just made that tweak to the hospital. I mean, that's just my assumption. There would be several locked areas within certain buildings. Not all the buildings were able to be opened and walked into. So that was an issue. That was one of the first things people noticed, that, hey, this is a sandbox. This is a closed off area. Majority of these buildings cannot be walked into. When we were originally told every building was able to be going in, and you would be able to find stuff within those buildings, and you would be able to fight hordes and stuff. I'm not talking about from the trailers that they gave us, because we all know those trailers were completely a different game, and there were the second trailer was a mixture of a whole bunch of other games, and that's when they were like releasing their statement, please don't tell everybody that we stole, we weren't trying to copy people, we just want, these devs to experience and you players to experience, blah blah blah, Cry Me a River, that kind of shit. One of the biggest problems I had with it was I read recently an article that one of the devs, and mind you, these devs are non-paid. One of these volunteer devs, they called it, are non-paid. He actually took the management role, and because they felt he was moving too slow, they kicked him after the first week or so. But he was met with so much BS that it was unable to complete all of it in the time factor they wanted. Plus, he was doing work that they want him to do if he was a full-time worker. Like, bro, the role he had was that he should have been paid for. And honestly, that's just, that's terrible. Let me actually I'll probably toss a clip up in this video of it so that way you guys can read it on your own. He was talking about Reddit. He said the volunteers were all treated like crap, while they also began to notice the discrepancies between the trailers and what happened or what was being produced. For every trailer, gameplay, or video in the general release that was released, we all had our thoughts, but nobody wanted to speak against them. They said turns out everything was a lie, and all I did was for nothing. You were originally hiring these people to work and do things for a game that they absolutely was hoping that you were promised, and then you showed them the entire lie, and they were so afraid to even speak out against you because of all the shit you were bringing to them. and the backlash. How do you work for someone like that? You can't, especially if you're asking for volunteers. And that's just not asking for like the testers too. I mean, the testers who actually got to play, apparently there were some statements about that where they weren't allowed to talk about anything because of the NDA and tell people, hey, this is not going to be a bad game. The ones that actually got to field test before they actually played the initial game for on the release, they were dumbfounded. They were like, I can't believe that it's the same bullshit on the release as they gave us when we were doing the test. This is garbage. So, like I said, going back to my statement about me doing this game for about a couple hours, I didn't watch someone. I didn't sit there and like watch people's streams to make a judgment call. I didn't sit there and like look up YouTube videos on what other people were talking about. I actually played it. And I hate to say I wasted my $40. But here's the other thing I'm wasting my $40. I got lucky to get my money back. There's a statement that was made that people said when they tried to return it, the devs of, well, not the devs, the company itself was like, shit happens when they couldn't get their money back. And they tried to say, hey, I thought you guys said this. And then all they could state was, shit happens. Now they did, before closing down everything, they made a post in their Discord, which I'll toss up also. And then they made a post on Twitter about the closing and how sad they were. You know, you're not getting any sympathies from anybody because of all the BS that you've been doing and everything coming to light. You literally, not only did you shit on your fan base, because this was the biggest anticipated game for a while, and then you gave us this, but you also shit on the only volunteers that you had for it. I mean, I can't believe anybody in this day and age would think that this is right to do. Especially with all the bullshit that we face day to day. A lot of people spent $40 on this game when that $40 could go to like groceries and stuff like that.
I scanned your food and it comes to $1 gazillion.
Elmo has a T-Rex and a Go Fish card.
Granted, you can't put the line that says, hey, you shouldn't be spending that money on that, but that's their hard-earned money and they want something to relax to. Now that just puts game testers out, or you know, the natural person who these are accredited to actually sit back and go, man, should I even be spending money on this anymore? This hurts other companies down the line. Not only did you make a bad facing for your company that just closed up, but you also made a bad face for a lot of other companies, because now, you know, people are going to make drawbacks and think, well, you know, maybe I should hold off from pre-ordering because that game did the same thing, blah, blah, blah. But I also feel bad for the actual devs who worked on it, because they're going to go to different companies, and those companies are going to look at it and be like, what game did you work on? And once you tell them that, they're going to be like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't hire this person. Granted, you're not allowed to say that, you know, corporate blah blah blah, but it happens. I've seen it. Maybe not in that kind of an industry, but I've seen it in other type of industries. It's BS, and it does happen, and I feel for those people. But I mean, even the actual devs of the game came out and stated that this was never meant to be an MMO. They knew about it, and they weren't allowed to say anything because the company told them such and such. They can't say things. So I have my take on this. I played, like I said, for about 4 days. There was a lot of issues with sound. There was a lot of issues with the game itself not being able to run properly. So we never got what we were expecting. And this is just a short take on it. But before you do any game, I would 100% just look into what you're getting into. That's it, boys and girls. That's me. I'm out. Like I said, it's short, sweet. I feel bad for everybody, and we got lied to. Let's hope the day after is a lot better than the day before.